Well, it's the end of the day. It's almost 6 o'clock, and I didn't take any more clips. I finished the dinner skinner, sanding the grind lines off. So all six knives are now sanded up to 120, and I actually the neck knife is sanded up to 180, and tomorrow I will get everything sanded up even more. But I was watching a National Geographic thing about people who suddenly found themselves in an emergency situation that had more strength than they thought they'd ever had. You know, there was this one guy that picked a car up off a kid, just a regular guy, not a bodybuilder or nothing, just a regular chubby older guy on his way home from work saw a kid get run over and he was underneath the car and, you know, still alive, screaming for help. And the guy stopped his car and ran over there and lifted this car from the front where the engine is, not the back. Lifted this car up off of that kid. And it got me to thinking of something that happened to me back, this is a trucking story, back, well, I wasn't terribly young because my wife was with me. And we were in the truck. And we're coming out of Chattanooga. We're south of Chattanooga, south of Rising Fawn. Uh, and there's a town there where the group Alabama is from, but I can't remember the name of that town. I don't think we had gotten that far south. So we were between Rising Fawn and whatever the name of that town is that Alabama, the group Alabama is from. And pouring rain. I mean, you don't see it rain that hard that often. So hard that you've got to slow down to, 25 or 30 miles an hour. And I did. I was going that slow. And then in the distance, I see movement, and it's a person. And when I get closer, so I slowed down, and as I got closer, I saw what I thought was a little girl jumping up and down and trying to get people to stop. So I pulled over, and I ran back there in the pouring rain. And it's not a little girl, it's a grown woman, but she's really tiny. I mean, like, 4.5 feet tall. And she didn't speak English that well. Come to find out, she was Filipina. I guess that's what a lady from the Philippines is, a Filipina. And she told me that her husband, they had a wreck, basically. And they went way down this ditch, and the car rolled. And she was able to squeeze, the roof had gotten crushed, and she was able to squeeze through the window and run up there, and holler for help. And so I ran down there, and my wife got out with the umbrella and some towels. And anyway, I ran down there, and I seen this ditch that he was in was filling up with water very quickly. And the roof was crushed all except for one window, but the window had a tree in front of it, a tree that was about, 5 or 6 inches around. And that was the only way this guy was getting out of that car was through that window. And the only way he was getting out of that window is if that tree wasn't in the way. And I thought to myself, if I had a bunch of people here, we could probably lift the car up and flip it over on its wheels. But I was the only person there. And the water was coming up, and he was yelling for help. And I told him I was there. And then my wife was trying to get other people to stop. And so I put my arms around this tree, not thinking I was going to be able to pull it up out of the ground, but thinking maybe I could bend it over and make some room. So I put my arms around the tree, and I put my feet around the tree up against the car. And I pulled and pulled and pulled on that tree for all I had. I couldn't quite move it. And the water was coming up pretty quick. It was raining that hard. So this guy pulls over, and he gets out, and my wife directs him down to where I'm at. And he's a big dude and a young guy. And I'm thinking, great. I told him, the thing, I've tried pulling on this tree, and I can actually get it to move, but I just don't have the strength to completely move it. So I got really low on the tree and put my arms around it and my feet up against the car. And he got above me and put his arms around it and put his feet up against the car. And me and that guy bent that tree down and uprooted it. And I'm sure if it was dry, we wouldn't have been able to do that, but the ground was saturated. So, that's part of the explanation. And part of the explanation is, we both had adrenaline pumping through us. And we got that tree out of the way, pulled over, and moved. And that guy was able to squeeze out that window, and my God, he was thankful. And I'll tell you what, for like 2 weeks, man, my back hurt, my arms hurt, my stomach hurt, my legs hurt. Anyway, I just thought that was, I just remembered that story. I got a million of them, but, sometimes they pop in your head, and then you go through and remember the things that happened, and that's what I did when I just seen that story on National Geographic, or the History Channel, about people who suddenly have, strength greater than what they would normally think. And there's no way I could ever, I could never walk up to a tree and under the best of circumstances with wet ground and something to pry my feet on. I could never do that again. But you don't know that until you've got that kind of adrenaline pumping through your body. Anyway, I just thought that might be an interesting story. I got a million trucking stories just like that. Spent a lot of my life. How do you say this without sounding like you're bragging? Because I'm definitely not. But sometimes sitting in my shop, I feel like I'm not I'm not important anymore, and I don't serve a real purpose, and I'm just sitting around waiting to die. And then I think back over my life as a truck driver, and I think about all the people I helped change, something as simple as changing a tire, or buying somebody some gas that was out of gas and couldn't make it home, or buying food for somebody, or giving somebody a ride to a town where they can get a tow truck to come get them. And, I helped a lot of people. And when I think about all the people that I've helped in my life, it makes me not feel so bad about not being part of the world right now. Okay, enough touchy-feely. Okay, I'm backing up and hooking to my trailer, and I didn't show you this before. I've never had a vehicle with this much, electronics, conveniences, but here's my trailer. Here's my trailer hitch, and this, I have three different angles. So this is the one I'm going to look at right now because I'm that close. There's the trailer getting closer and closer and closer. Here's my hitch ball right here. There's the trailer hitch on the trailer right there. And it looks like I'm going to be awful low, so I'm going to turn this wheel. I think that's it. And I like these different views. Okay, I'm going to tell you a funny story while we're waiting in line here. A friend of mine texted me a picture of his freezer filled with bacon. And I texted him back telling him that bacon it had nitrates in it, and it was going to harden his arteries and clog his heart up. And he texted me back saying that his doctor told him that bacon lubricated your heart valves. So I texted him and asked him for his doctor's contact info because I want to see if he's taking any new patients.